English Leap Podcast.
With your favorite teacher. Hello, everyone, and a huge welcome back to your favorite teacher's English Leap podcast. This is your go-to space for mastering natural English while we chat about the big and small things in life. I'm Sarah, and I'm joined by Leo.
Okay, quick question before we dive deep and get all wise today.
Oh no, that usually means trouble. I'm ready though.
It does. All right, everyone listening, imagine this. You finally sit down to study your English vocabulary. You've got your coffee, you've got your notebook, but then your phone pings. Then the neighbor starts mowing their lawn. Then you suddenly remember you forgot to buy milk and your car insurance is due tomorrow. Sarah, be honest. Is it actually possible to find peace in this crazy world, or are we all just pretending?
Oh, wow, Leo. You just described the modern chaos perfectly. It's funny you bring that up because that's exactly what we're tackling today, mental peace. And to answer your question, yes, it is possible, but it's definitely not something that just happens to you. You have to build it like a skill. It's a lot like learning English, actually. You don't just wake up fluent, you have to create the environment for it.
I knew you'd bring it back to English. But you're right. Sometimes my brain feels like a web browser with 50 different tabs open at the same time. You know, one tab is playing music, one is a work email, one is a YouTube tutorial I'll never finish, and I can't find where the noise is coming from.
That is a brilliant metaphor. Mental clutter. That's a great phrase for our listeners. Clutter is usually what we call a mess in a room. Too many clothes on the floor, papers everywhere. But mental clutter, that's when your thoughts are just messy and unorganized.
Exactly. And when my mind is cluttered, I can't learn anything. I'll read the same sentence 5 times and realize I haven't processed a single word. It's like my brain is full, no more room for grammar.
Right, and that's the first thing we need to understand about mental peace. It isn't just the absence of noise. You can be in a perfectly quiet library and still feel like your head is exploding with stress. True mental peace is about internal stillness.
Internal stillness. That sounds very fancy. But how do we get there when the world is literally designed to keep us distracted? I feel like my phone is a little peace thief living in my pocket. Every notification is like a tiny person tapping on my shoulder saying, "Hey, look at this. Someone you don't know liked a photo of a cat."
A peace thief, I love that. And you're right, we live in an attention economy. Companies are literally fighting to steal your focus. So if you want mental peace, you have to be a bit of a rebel. You have to consciously choose to tune out the noise.
Tune out. I like that phrasal verb. Like turning a dial on an old radio until the static disappears and the music comes in clearly.
Precisely. To tune out means to ignore something or to stop paying attention to it. In the context of mental peace, it's about deciding what is signal and what is noise. Most of the stuff that stresses us out is just noise. It's frivolous, meaning it has no real value.
Frivolous. That's a good word. Like scrolling through celebrity news when I should be sleeping. That is definitely frivolous. But Sarah, what about the real stuff? Bills, work, exams. I can't just tune those out, can I? I mean, my boss might have something to say about that.
No, don't tune out your boss. That might lead to a different kind of peace called unemployment. But here's the secret. Mental peace doesn't mean you don't have problems. It means your problems don't have you.
Whoa, wait, say that again. That sounded like something from a movie.
It means you can be in the middle of a frantic situation, frantic meaning hurried, excited, or disorganized, and still have a sense of composure inside. Composure is that ability to stay calm and in control of your emotions.
I think I've seen people like that. They're like the eye of a hurricane. Everything is spinning around them, but they're just there, chillin'. I always thought they were just born lucky, you know? Like they had some calm gene that I missed out on.
You know, I used to think the same thing. I used to think I was just a high-strung person. High-strung is an idiomatic way to describe someone who is very nervous or easily stressed. But I realized that the people who seem the calmest are usually the ones who work the hardest at their mental sanctuary.
Sanctuary. That's like a safe place, right? Like a temple or a quiet park?
Yes, but your primary sanctuary has to be your mind. If you rely on a quiet park for peace, what happens when the park is closed or someone starts a construction project next door? Your peace is gone. But if you build that sanctuary inside, you can take it anywhere.
That sounds amazing, but also a little difficult. When I'm stressed, my heart is racing, my palms are sweaty, and my English, oh man, my English goes out the window. I start stuttering and forgetting basic words like apple.
That is a very natural physical response. When we lose our mental peace, our brain goes into survival mode. It shuts down the higher functions like language learning and logical thinking because it thinks it needs to fight a tiger. But there is no tiger, Leo. It's just an unread email.
It's a digital tiger. It has stripes made of Excel spreadsheets.
Exactly. And that's why the modern chaos is so dangerous for learners. If you are constantly in that state of agitation, which means a state of anxiety or nervous excitement, you literally cannot learn effectively. You are spinning your wheels.
Spinning my wheels? Like a car stuck in the mud?
Right, you're putting in a lot of effort, the engine is roaring, smoke is coming out, but you're not moving forward, you're just getting more tired. This is why mental peace is the foundation of everything else.
So, step one of the English Leap podcast today is basically stop the car, get out of the mud, and look at the map?
Haha, I love your analogies today, Leo. Yes, we need to identify what is pulling us into the mud. Is it social media? Is it overcommitting ourselves, saying yes to too many things? Is it negative self-talk, where we tell ourselves we're not good enough?
Oof, negative self-talk. That's a big one for me. Leo, your accent is terrible. Leo, you'll never understand phrasal verbs. It's like having a tiny, mean roommate living in my ear.
We all have that roommate, but mental peace starts when you realize you don't have to believe everything that roommate says. You can acknowledge the thought and then let it drift away like a cloud.
I'm trying to imagine my mean roommate drifting away on a cloud. It's actually a pretty funny image. He looks much less threatening when he's floating towards the horizon.
That's the spirit. You're using visualization. That's a key tool. But before we get into the tools and the how-to, I want our listeners to really think about their own modern chaos. What is the one thing that most consistently rabbles your peace?
Rabbles. Is that a word?
Actually, the word is ruffles. To ruffle someone's feathers means to upset or annoy them, but unsettle is probably a better word for what we're talking about. What unsettles your peace?
For me, it's definitely the always-on culture, the feeling that I need to be reachable 24 hours a day. If I don't reply to a message in 5 minutes, I feel guilty. It's like I've given everyone else the remote control to my mood.
Oh, that is a powerful realization, giving others the remote control to your mood. That's why we feel so frazzled. Frazzled is a great word for when you're completely exhausted and stressed out.
I am definitely feeling frazzled lately. But Sarah, I'm ready. I want that remote control back. I want to build that internal sanctuary we talked about.
Well, you're in the right place. Over the next few sections, we're going to look at the language of stillness, the power of setting boundaries, and how to create a routine that actually protects your mind. We're going to turn that modern chaos into modern clarity.
Modern clarity. I like the sound of that. It sounds like a very expensive brand of bottled water, but it's actually better for you.
Much better and much cheaper too. So everyone listening, take a deep breath. If you're driving, maybe just relax your shoulders. If you're at home, maybe put the phone down for a second. After this part ends, of course, we are just getting started on this journey to mental peace.
I'm already feeling a bit more composed just talking about it.
But I'm curious, how do we actually tune out the noise without feeling like we're missing out on everything? You know, that FOMO, fear of missing out.
That is exactly what we are going to dive into next. How to trade FOMO for JOMO, the joy of missing out.
JOMO? Okay, now you're just making up words, Sarah.
I promise it's a real thing and it's a total game changer for your English and your life. Ready to move on?
Oh, I am more than ready. Let's do it.
Okay, Sarah, I've been thinking about that JOMO thing all through the break, the joy of missing out. It sounds almost rebellious, like while everyone else is stressing over the latest news or the newest trend, I'm just over here in my little bubble of peace.
Exactly. It's the ultimate power move for your mental health. It's about realizing that you don't need to be everywhere to be somewhere. But to really embrace that, we need to talk about the language we use to describe these feelings. Because let's be honest, in English class, we usually just learn, I am happy or I am stressed.
Right, it's very black and white. Today I am calm. Yesterday I was angry. It doesn't really capture the shades of the feeling?
The nuances. That's a perfect word for it. Nuance. If we want to find mental peace, we need a more sophisticated vocabulary to describe our inner world. Think about it. If you only have the word bad to describe a feeling, then everything feels equally bad. But if you can distinguish between being mildly annoyed and completely overwhelmed, you can handle the situation much better.
That makes so much sense. It's like having a high-definition camera for your emotions instead of an old blurry one. So, Sarah, give me the HD version of being calm. What's better than just calm?
Let's start with serene. That is one of my favorite words. Serenity is a step above calm. It's like a deep, quiet lake at 5 in the morning. No ripples, no wind, just stillness.
Oh, I like that. I feel serene. It sounds very elegant. Is it different from tranquil?
They are very close, but tranquil often describes the environment. A tranquil garden, a tranquil forest. Serene often describes the person's state of mind. So you could say, the setting was tranquil and I felt serene.
Wow, look at me. I'm getting poetic. Okay, so serene and tranquil. What about when I'm the opposite? When I'm not just stressed, but like my brain is vibrating?
Vibrating. That is a great way to put it. For that, we use the word agitated. If you are agitated, you're restless. You can't sit still. You're physically and mentally on edge.
On edge. I've heard that one before. Like I'm standing on the edge of a cliff and I might fall off at any second?
Precisely. It's a state of high tension. And here's a phrase for you that natives use all the time. At my wit's end.
At my wit's end? Does that mean I've run out of intelligence?
Not exactly. Your wits are your mental faculties, your ability to think and solve problems. If you are at your wits' end, it means you have tried everything, you're completely exhausted, and you just don't know what to do next. It's that feeling of being totally spent.
Spent? Like a bank account with $0.
Exactly. You have no more energy left to give. And you see, Leo, when we identify these feelings accurately, they lose some of their power over us. Instead of saying, I'm dying, you can say, I'm feeling a bit agitated and spent because of this project. It makes the problem feel manageable.
Manageable, right. It's like I've put a label on the monster, so now I know how to fight it. But Sarah, what about that feeling when you finally, take a deep breath and let go? Is there a word for that?
Yes, we call that a catharsis or a cathartic moment. It's a release of pent-up emotions. But in daily conversation, we often say we feel grounded.
Grounded. Like when my parents wouldn't let me leave the house when I was a teenager?
No, not that kind of grounded. In a mental health context, being grounded means you feel connected to the present moment. You aren't floating away into the future with worries or sinking into the past with regrets. You are solid. You are right here, right now.
I love that. I am grounded. It feels heavy in a good way, like I have roots. I've noticed that when I try to speak English on the opposite of grounded, I'm flighty. I'm thinking about the next word, and the grammar rule I forgot, and the person looking at me.
That's a common struggle. You're overanalyzing, and that's the biggest peace thief of all in language learning. You're trying to run the race while staring at your feet to make sure you're stepping correctly. You're going to trip.
I do trip all the time. So how do I apply this language of stillness to my actual English practice? How do I stay serene when I'm trying to remember the past participle of a verb?
Well, first, you have to change your internal monologue. That's the conversation you have with yourself inside your head. Instead of, I'm failing, try, I'm in a state of transition. Instead of, this is impossible, try, this is a challenging but rewarding process.
That sounds a bit woo-woo, Sarah. A bit too much like a self-help book.
I get it. It can sound a bit cheesy, but think about the power of suggestion. If you tell your brain you're overwhelmed, your brain says, okay, let's shut down and panic. But if you tell your brain, I'm experiencing a bit of cognitive load, your brain says, oh, okay, we're just working hard. Let's take a breath.
Cognitive load. That sounds like a computer error. Warning, Leo's cognitive load is at 99%. Please delete some frivolous thoughts.
Exactly. And speaking of deleting thoughts, we have to talk about mental bandwidth. This is a very modern English term. It refers to the amount of mental energy you have available to focus on something.
Oh, I use that for my internet. Like if I'm downloading a movie, my bandwidth is full and I can't check my email.
Right, and we're the same way. If you have low bandwidth because you're worrying about work, you won't have enough space to learn English effectively. So finding peace is actually a productivity hack.
A productivity hack. So if I sit quietly for 10 minutes and do nothing, I'm actually being productive?
Absolutely. You're decluttering the hard drive. You're clearing the cache. You're making room for the things that actually matter.
I'm starting to see why you called this the language of stillness. It's not just about being quiet, it's about being intentional.
Yes, intentionality is key. When you are intentional, you choose where your energy goes. You don't just react to everything that happens, you respond.
Wait, what's the difference? React versus respond. They sound like the same thing to me.
Oh, this is a big one. A reaction is fast, impulsive, and often emotional. Your phone pings, you grab it immediately, that's a reaction. Someone cuts you off in traffic and you yell, that's a reaction. But a response is slower, it's deliberate. You take a second, you process the information, and you decide how to act.
So a reaction is like a reflex, and a response is like a choice.
Exactly. And peace lives in that gap between the event and your response. If you can widen that gap by even just 2 seconds, you've won.
2 seconds. I can do 2 seconds, I think. But man, sometimes the world is just so relentless.
Relentless. Great word. It means never stopping or weakening. And you're right, the world is relentless. That's why you can't wait for the world to give you peace. You have to carve it out.
To carve it out, like a sculptor making a statue out of a big, messy block of stone.
Precisely. You have to cut away the things that don't belong there, the unnecessary obligations, the toxic comparisons, the endless scrolling. You carve those away until the serenity is all that's left.
This is getting deep, Sarah. I feel like I need a notebook just for these metaphors.
Well, that's why we're here. We're building a lexicon for your soul. A lexicon is just a fancy word for a vocabulary or a dictionary.
A lexicon for the soul. I love it. Okay, so I've got my new words: serene, agitated, spent, grounded, and bandwidth, and the difference between reacting and responding. I feel like my internal roommate is starting to settle down.
Good, because he needs to be quiet for the next part. We're going to talk about the most powerful word in the English language for finding peace, and it's only 2 letters long.
2 letters. Is it no?
You guessed it, but no is actually one of the hardest words for English learners to use correctly without feeling guilty or rude.
Oh man, tell me about it. I always end up saying yes, and then I'm frazzled for the rest of the week.
Well, stay tuned because in the next part, we're going to master the art of the polite no.
Okay, Sarah, I've been practicing my no in the mirror during the break. No, no thank you, no way, Jose. But I have to admit, my heart starts beating faster just thinking about saying it to a real person. Why is such a tiny word so terrifying?
No way, Jose might be a bit much for a work meeting, Leo, but you're right, it is terrifying. Most of us are hardwired to want to help. We are social creatures, and we have this deep-seated fear that if we say no, people will think we are lazy, selfish, or rude.
Exactly. I'm a total people pleaser. If someone asks me for a favor, my brain immediately says, yes, of course, while my soul is screaming, no, you don't have the time. It's like a reflex. I'm a yes man.
A yes man. That's a classic English idiom. It's someone who always agrees with their superior or friends just to stay in their good books. But here's the problem. When you say yes to everyone else, you are inadvertently saying no to yourself. You're saying no to your rest, no to your English studies, and no to your mental peace.
Inadvertently. That's a big word. It means by accident?
Spot on, without meaning to. You are accidentally sabotaging your own peace. We call this overextending yourself. Imagine you are a rubber band. You can stretch to help one person, then another, but eventually, if you keep stretching, you're going to snap.
I feel like a very thin, very tired rubber band right now, Sarah. I'm definitely spread too thin.
Spread too thin. I love that you use that. It's like trying to put a tiny bit of butter on a giant loaf of bread. By the end, there's nothing left. So, to find peace, we have to master the art of the boundary.
Boundary. That sounds like a fence or a wall. Isn't that a bit cold, like I'm shutting people out?
That is a common misconception. A boundary isn't a wall to keep people out, it's a gate that you control. It's about letting in the things that nourish you and keeping out the things that drain you. In English, we call this being assertive.
Assertive. I always get that confused with aggressive. What's the difference? Because I don't want to be the guy who just barks no at everyone.
No, please don't bark. Aggressive is when you don't care about the other person's feelings. You're being mean or forceful. But assertive is the middle ground. It's being firm, clear, and respectful. You're standing up for your needs without trampling on theirs.
Okay, so how do I do that in English? Because no feels a bit too blunt. If my boss asks me to work late and I just say no, I think I'll be looking for a new job pretty quickly.
True. We need softened language. In English, we use cushions to make a no feel more polite. For example, instead of just no, you can start with a positive buffer. Something like, I'd love to help with that, but, or I'm honored you asked me. However,
I'm honored you asked me. Oh, that's smooth, Sarah. It makes them feel good before I deliver the bad news.
exactly. You are validating their request before you decline it. Decline is just a formal way to say no. Another great phrase for the workplace is, I'm currently at capacity.
At capacity, like a full parking lot?
Yes, it's a professional way of saying, my mental bandwidth is full, and if I take on one more thing, my brain will melt. It sounds much more responsible than saying, I'm too stressed.
I'm currently at capacity. I'm going to write that one down. It makes me sound like a very busy, very important person instead of just a guy who wants to go home and watch Netflix.
Well, both can be true. Another one is, I can't give this the attention it deserves right now. This is brilliant because it makes your no sound like you're doing them a favor. You're saying, I care so much about quality that I won't do it poorly.
Oh, wow, that is genius. You're turning a no into a quality control issue. I'd love to help, but I can't give this the attention it deserves because I'm at capacity. Sarah, you are a linguistic ninja.
It's all about the framing. How you frame a sentence changes how people receive it. But Leo, what about your friends? Sometimes they ask for things that aren't work-related. How do you put your foot down with them?
Put your foot down. That means to be very firm, right? Like a parent telling a kid they can't have candy?
Exactly. With friends, you can be more candid, meaning honest and direct. You can say, I'm actually laying low this weekend to recharge my batteries.
Laying low. I like that. It sounds very cool, like I'm a secret agent on a mission, but the mission is just sitting on my couch in my pajamas.
The most important mission of all. And recharging your batteries is a perfect idiom for mental peace. Everyone understands that. If you don't charge your phone, it dies. If you don't charge yourself, you burn out.
Burnout. Yeah, I've been there. It's like when the engine of the car just stops working because it's overheated. But Sarah, what if they push back? What if I say no and they keep asking?
Ah, the persisters. In that case, you have to use the broken record technique.
The broken record? You mean I just keep repeating the same thing over and over?
Exactly. You don't need to give new excuses. If you give new excuses, they will find ways to argue with them. If you say, I can't go because I have a headache, they'll say, take an aspirin. But if you say, I'm not up for it tonight, and they ask again, you just say, I appreciate the invite, but like I said, I'm just not up for it tonight.
I'm not up for it. That's a great phrase. It's not about the world, it's about my internal state. It's hard to argue with someone's internal state.
Precisely. You are owning your feelings. And here's the most important part. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your piece. You don't have to justify why you need a break.
That's the hardest part, though. I feel like I need a valid reason, like a doctor's note or a broken leg. Just saying I need peace feels flimsy.
Flimsy, great word. It means weak or easily broken, but your mental health is the most sturdy reason there is. Without it, you can't be a good friend, a good employee, or a good English student.
You're right. I've noticed that when I don't set boundaries, I start to feel resentful. I'm doing the favor, but I'm angry while I'm doing it. That's definitely not mental peace.
Resentment is the poison of peace. It's like drinking acid and expecting the other person to get hurt. Boundaries prevent resentment. They keep your relationships clean.
Wow, so saying no is actually a way to be a better friend in the long run because I won't be secretly grudging them?
Exactly. Holding a grudge or feeling grudging is exhausting. It takes up so much mental real estate.
Mental real estate. My brain is a very expensive neighborhood, Sarah. I can't let grudges and stress live there for free.
Right. You need to evict them, kick them out, make room for serenity and vocabulary.
I'm feeling more empowered already. I think I'm ready to reclaim my time, but it's going to take practice. I might start small, like next time the waiter asks if I want dessert and I'm already full, I'll say, I'm honored you asked, but I'm currently at capacity.
Maybe a bit too formal for a chocolate cake, but hey, it's a start.
Progress, not perfection, right?
Exactly. And speaking of progress, once you've cleared the clutter and set your boundaries, you actually have to do something with that space. You have to create a sanctuary.
My pajamas and Netflix mission?
Maybe, but in the next part, we're going to talk about building a peace routine, from digital detoxes to morning rituals that actually stick.
I'm all ears. Let's get to the practical stuff. All right, Sarah, I'm ready. I've said no to 3 emails, I've put my phone on Do Not Disturb, and I've officially evicted the mean roommate in my head. Now what? How do I actually build this sanctuary you were talking about? Because right now, my sanctuary is just a pile of laundry and a half-eaten sandwich.
Well, a half-eaten sandwich is a start, I suppose. But a true mental sanctuary is built on predictability. You see, our brains love routines because they reduce what we call decision fatigue.
Decision fatigue. Is that why I can't decide what to eat for dinner after a long day of work? Like my brain just says, I don't care, just eat the napkins.
Exactly. You've used up all your mental energy making big decisions at work, so by 6 p.m., even small choices feel insurmountable. Insurmountable means something is too great to be overcome. So to protect our peace, we need to automate our peace.
Automate our peace. That sounds like I'm installing software in my soul. I love it. So where do we start? The morning?
Actually, I think the most important part of the day for mental peace is the night before. Have you ever heard of a digital sunset?
A digital sunset. Does that mean I watch the sun go down on my iPad? Because I think that defeats the purpose, Sarah.
No, not quite. A digital sunset is the practice of powering down your electronic devices a certain amount of time before you go to bed, usually an hour or two. You're mimicking the natural sunset. As the light outside fades, your digital light should fade too.
An hour before bed? Sarah, that's when I do my best doom scrolling. You know, when you just keep scrolling through bad news until you feel like the world is ending and you can't sleep.
Doom scrolling. That is such a perfect modern English word, and it is the antithesis of peace. Antithesis means the direct opposite. When you doom scroll, you are flooding your brain with cortisol, the stress hormone, right when you should be winding down.
Winding down. I like that phrasal verb, like an old clock that you have to wind up and then it slowly loses energy.
Precisely. To wind down means to gradually relax after a period of excitement or hard work. If you don't have a digital sunset, you're basically trying to go from 100 miles per hour to 0 instantly. It doesn't work. Your brain stays wired.
Wired, like an electrical circuit?
Yes, if you are wired, you are full of nervous energy. You're tired, but your brain won't shut up. So the first step to your sanctuary is unplugging.
Okay, I'll try it. No phone an hour before bed. But what am I supposed to do? Talk to my family? Read a book? Just sit there?
Any of those. Reading a physical book, a hard copy, is great because it doesn't emit blue light. Blue light is what keeps your brain awake. Or you could try journaling.
Journaling. That's like a diary, right? Dear Diary, today I learned the word insurmountable and it was very difficult.
It can be that, but gratitude journaling is even better for peace. You just write down 3 things you're grateful for. It rewires your brain to look for the positive instead of the noise.
Grateful. I am grateful for this podcast. I'm grateful for coffee. And I'm grateful that Sarah isn't making me do a grammar test right now.
You're safe for now, Leo. So that's the evening, but then comes the morning. How do you usually start your day?
Oh, I'm a pro. My alarm goes off, I hit the snooze button about 4 times, then I grab my phone and check my emails while I'm still half asleep. I usually start the day feeling behind and annoyed within 5 minutes.
Oh, Leo, you're starting on the back foot. That's a great idiom. It means to start something in a position of weakness or disadvantage. By checking your phone first thing, you're letting the world dictate your mood before you've even brushed your teeth.
I never thought of it that way. I'm letting my inbox dictate my life. That's not very assertive of me, is it?
Not at all. A peace sanctuary requires a golden hour. This is the first hour of your day where you focus entirely on yourself. No news, no emails, no distractions.
A whole hour? Sarah, I barely have time to find matching socks in the morning.
Well, start with 10 minutes. We call this a morning ritual. It could be anything: meditation, a short walk, or just savoring your coffee. Savoring means to enjoy something completely, taking your time to experience the taste and smell.
Savoring. I usually just gulp my coffee while running for the bus. I'm starting to realize my whole life is just one big hurry.
And hurry is the enemy of peace. There's a beautiful saying: nature never hurries, yet everything is accomplished. We need to bring some of that deliberate energy into our mornings.
Deliberate. That's like being intentional, right? Doing things on purpose?
Exactly. If you start your morning deliberately, you set the tone for the rest of the day. If you start with peace, you're more likely to stay grounded when things get hectic later on.
Hectic. That's another good one. Like a busy beehive.
Yes, hectic means very busy and full of activity. So we've got the digital sunset and the golden hour, but what about your physical space? You mentioned a pile of laundry.
Ah, the laundry is my nemesis, my arch enemy. Every time I look at it, I feel a little ping of stress.
That's because external clutter leads to internal clutter. There's a famous concept called minimalism. It's not about owning nothing, it's about making sure everything you own has a purpose or brings you joy.
So if my laundry doesn't bring me joy, I can just throw it out the window?
Nice try, no, but you can tidy up. There's a psychological boost, a feeling of happiness, that comes from a clean environment. If your desk is clear, your mental bandwidth is higher because you're not subconsciously worrying about the mess.
Subconsciously. That's the stuff happening in the back of my mind that I don't even realize.
Right. Your brain is scanning your environment all the time. If it sees a mess, it stays in a state of low-level alert. To find true peace, you need a sacred space, a small corner of your home that is always clean, always quiet, and only for relaxation.
A sacred space. I like that. Maybe I'll put a nice plant there and no laundry allowed.
Perfect. A peace lily, perhaps.
Haha, very funny. So we're building this sanctuary with routines and physical space. But Sarah, what happens when I leave my house? What happens when I go into the hectic world? Does my sanctuary just disappear?
That is the ultimate test, Leo, and it brings us back to mindfulness. Mindfulness is the ability to carry your sanctuary with you. It's like having an invisible bubble of peace around you.
An invisible bubble, like a force field in a sci-fi movie.
Exactly. When someone is rude or a deadline is looming, meaning it's hanging over you and feeling threatening, you just step back into your bubble. You take a mindful breath.
Just one breath? Does that really work?
It's a circuit breaker. It stops the reaction and allows for a response. It's a tiny reset button for your brain.
I'm gonna need to press that reset button a lot, I think.
We all do. The goal isn't to be perfectly peaceful all the time. That's impossible. The goal is to bounce back faster when you lose your peace. We call that resilience.
Resilience, the ability to recover from difficulties. I think my peace sanctuary is finally starting to take shape. I've got my digital sunset, my golden hour, my sacred space, and my mindful force field.
You're sounding like a peace warrior now, Leo.
A peace warrior. I'll get it printed on a t-shirt. But first, I think we need to help our listeners put all of this into practice.
I agree. In our final part, we're going to wrap everything up and give everyone a very special challenge to help them find their own modern clarity.
Ooh, I love a challenge. Let's do it. Okay, Sarah, I'm feeling really good about my peace warrior status. I've got my force field, my sanctuary, and my fancy new vocabulary. But here's the thing. What happens when I mess up? What happens when I have a total meltdown because I forgot my keys, I'm late for a meeting, and I accidentally shouted at the toaster?
Shouted at the toaster. We've all been there, Leo. That is actually the most important part of this whole journey. We call it the myth of perfection. A lot of people think that mental peace means you never get angry, never get stressed, and always speak in a soft, calm voice. But that's not peace. That's being a robot.
Phew, that's a relief, because I am definitely not a robot. I'm more like a very emotional toaster myself sometimes.
Well, the real skill isn't avoiding the chaos, it's resilience. We mentioned this word briefly before, but let's dive deep into it. Resilience is your ability to bounce back after a setback. A setback is anything that stops your progress or makes a situation worse.
A setback, like failing an English test or having a bad day at work.
Exactly.
If you have a setback and you spend 3 days beating yourself up, that's an idiom for being very self-critical, then you haven't found peace. But if you have a setback, acknowledge it, and then pivot back to your calm state, that is true resilience.
Pivot. Like a basketball player turning on one foot to change direction?
Perfect analogy. To pivot means to change your strategy or direction quickly. When the modern chaos hits you, you pivot. You don't stay in the stress. You say, okay, that was a hectic moment. Now I'm going to take a mindful breath and reset.
I think I need to practice self-compassion, too. Is that a real term? Because I'm usually my own worst critic.
It is absolutely a real term, and it's a cornerstone of mental peace. A cornerstone is the most important part of a foundation. Self-compassion means treating yourself with the same kindness you would show to a friend. If your friend forgot their keys, you wouldn't call them a total failure, right?
No, I'd probably just laugh and help them find them.
So why do we call ourselves names? To find peace, you have to silence the critic. Use your English to speak kindly to yourself. Instead of "I'm so stupid for forgetting that word," try "I'm still learning, and it's okay to forget sometimes."
I'm still learning. That feels much lighter. It takes the pressure off. You know, Sarah, I've realized that learning English and finding peace are almost the same thing. They both require consistency over perfection.
Oh, Lito, you're teaching the lesson now. That is exactly right. Doing 5 minutes of English every day is better than doing 5 hours once a month. And taking 5 minutes for your golden hour every day is better than going on a week-long silent retreat once a year.
A silent retreat? You mean where people go to a mountain and don't talk for 7 days? Sarah, I think I'd explode. I like talking way too much.
Me too. But you don't need a mountain. You just need small wins. A small win is a tiny success that builds your confidence, like using a new phrasal verb correctly, or choosing to tune out a negative social media post.
I love the idea of small wins. It makes the whole insurmountable goal of peace feel, well, surmountable.
Exactly. Now, before we finish, we really should recap some of the amazing language we've used today. We've covered a lot of ground.
Oh, I've got my list ready. We started with mental clutter and peace thieves. Then we talked about being serene, grounded, and spent.
And don't forget the art of the no. Phrases like "I'm currently at capacity" or "I can't give this the attention it deserves." Those are your shields in the modern chaos.
Right. And then the digital sunset, the golden hour, and the force field of mindfulness. My English lexicon is definitely feeling much fancier now.
It's not just fancy, Leo, it's functional. You're learning words that help you navigate your real life. That's the whole point of the English Leap podcast.
Well, I'm definitely ready for the final part of our show, the part where our listeners get to join in.
Yes, it's time for our homework and practice section.
Okay, everyone, listen up. This is where you take what you've learned and put it into action. We don't just want you to listen, we want you to implement.
That's right. So here is your peace challenge for this week. It has 2 parts.
Part 1, the No Challenge. We want you to find one thing this week that drains your energy. Maybe an extra task, an annoying social media habit, or an invite you don't really want to go to. And we want you to say no, politely. Use one of our cushioned phrases.
And part 2, the lexicon challenge. Go to the comments section of this video or podcast and write 3 sentences. Sentence 1, use the word serene or tranquil to describe your favorite place.
Sentence 2, use the phrase at capacity or tune out in a sentence about your daily life.
And sentence 3 is your gratitude journaling for the day. Tell us one thing you are grateful for in your English journey. It can be something small.
I'm going to read them all. I love seeing how everyone uses these words. It makes me feel like I'm not the only emotional toaster out there.
You are definitely not alone, Leo. We are all in the same boat. That's another great idiom. It means we are all facing the same challenges.
In the same boat. Well, as long as you're the captain of this boat, Sarah, I think we're going to be just fine.
Well, I'm just glad to have you as my first mate. All right, everyone, thank you so much for joining us on this journey towards mental peace and modern clarity.
Don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment with your homework, and most importantly, take a deep breath.
Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep finding your peace.
Bye, everyone. See you in the comments.
Goodbye.